Hola bonitas, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a review and wear test on the new Tarte Maracuja Juicy Glow Foundation. So I am super excited to get into this. I am starting my day, so I'm like, I need a good foundation and I'm excited to see what this is going to do for me. So let's go ahead and get right into this review and wear test. I did order this from Sephora. I placed an order and I want to read a little bit about it. So this actually just launched, I want to say about like a week and a half ago or maybe 2 weeks ago. This does retail for $40. I did pick this up in the shade 35N medium neutral. And this is supposed to be a medium flexible coverage skin tint that brightens, moisturizes, and smooths the skin. It's a medium coverage with a radiant finish, a liquid formula. This does contain the highlighted ingredients of maracuja oil, which delivers firmer, brighter, and smoother looking skin, hyaluronic acid that delivers moisture, firmness, and suppleness, and then 10 plus superfruits, which brighten and smooth the skin. This is vegan, gluten-free, and cruelty-free. It provides a dewy, radiant finish for 16-hour soft glow. It's made out of 91% naturally derived ingredients like hyaluronic acid, maracuja, and superfruits to drench in juicy hydration and help improve the look of the bare skin. So let's just go ahead and open this up. I already went ahead and moisturized. I just used my favorite moisturizer. This is the First Aid Beauty Ultra Repair Cream, one of my absolute favorites. And then I also have been loving the First Aid Beauty Hydrating Serum. My rosacea has been a little dry and flaky, especially right now as it's still kind of cold here in Maryland. But I'm happy we're moving into spring and summer because then it'll be way more hydrated. My rosacea has been a little flared up. And like I mentioned before, I also have been getting some breakouts on my chin and up here. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have going on. For my skin type, if you're new to my channel, I have a very oily T-zone. Like I mentioned right now, I do have some dryness on the cheeks, but for the most part, I am oily. I'm excited to see how this is going to do on the skin. Looks like that. I'm gonna be doing one side with a sponge and one side with a brush. So I'm gonna take the product right here, like so. This will be a good match. And then I'm gonna apply it right, ooh, that looks really nice. I think I'm just gonna do one side. Okay. I'm gonna be taking my sponge, like so. Ooh, that looks glowy. I don't mind like a glowy look if it's kind of like a radiance from within. But if it's too glowy, then it can be a little bit of an issue for me because I do have a lot of texture on my cheek area because of my rosacea. So we shall see how this performs on the skin. Covering my redness very nicely. I am getting medium coverage. I feel like it's also doing a good job of laying nicely on the skin. And the color is doing pretty well too. I feel like this is a really good match for me. I always tend to fall for those neutral undertones. So that's just something to note if you are trying to figure out what shade you are. So this is what we have going on right here. You guys can see. I mean, it did a very, very nice job of covering the redness on my rosacea. And it also looks healthy. It's almost giving me like summer skin vibes. And I am appreciative of the fact that even though this is medium coverage and more of that like radiance finish, I'm still getting good coverage on the areas where I need to cover, which tends to always be, of course, my rosacea. I do want to put a little bit more in this area right here. So I'm just going to take a little bit of product right there. It's also applying really beautiful with a sponge, which I really do appreciate. I feel like with the sponge, it's just kind of like melting it into the skin. And the sponge also isn't absorbing too much of the product, which sometimes I feel like when you have a very lightweight consistency foundation, it can absorb a little too much of the product, but this isn't doing that, which I love. So, and even on the nose area, because I do have rosacea on the nose and it's bumpy rosacea, like it's texturized. I like the fact that it's not clinging onto my dry patches. My only concern with this is how it's gonna do at the end of the day, because that's when I get very oily, especially on that T-zone. Let's go ahead and do this side. So I'm gonna pump out the same amount of product. And you guys can see the consistency of this isn't super like runny or liquidy. It's a more creamier consistency. It still looks very hydrating, but you guys can see it has that pigment. Tarte does a good job with the neutral undertone, because I've noticed that the times that I've purchased from Tarte, they do have really nice neutral undertones. Like sometimes not all brands have that, but yeah. I feel like it applies nicely with the brush too. I feel like when you first apply it, it looks very, very radiant. But once you go ahead and let it sit on the skin for a little bit, it kind of like becomes one with the skin and it almost gives you a radiance from within. The brush applied it nicely as well. I feel like it's really your preference whether you want to go in with a brush or sponge. But it does look like that like summer skin, like that glowy summer skin. So if you don't like the look of this, like a glowy look, it's probably not going to be the one for you. But I'm excited to see how this is going to wear on the skin, because I do like how it lays on top of my skin and it's not like making any of my dry patches separate. Okay, so this is the side with a brush and this is the side with a sponge. I'm just using my Fenty sponge. And then for brush, I've been really enjoying the It Cosmetics number 7 brush. I really like these two. So this is what we're looking like. This is with a brush and this is with a sponge. I think both sides look pretty. I will say though, I do get a little bit more coverage with the brush and I get a little bit more of like a natural like skin tint coverage with a sponge. So it just really depends on your preference. I also will say for my nose texture, the rosacea on the nose, I like to use a sponge over a brush because I feel like the brush enhances a little bit of the texture and kind of separates it, as opposed to the sponge. I feel like it really presses it in. So I really did enjoy that aspect of it. A more dewier finish. I will say that for me personally, I don't know if you guys have had this experience, but when I do use a little bit more of a radiant product, I have to go in, and I didn't do it right now, but next time I use this, I would definitely go in with a like pore filling primer, because I do notice that when I use something a little bit more radiant, it tends to enhance my pores a little bit more. So that's just something to keep in mind. So I'm gonna quickly finish off the rest of my makeup and then I'm gonna come back, let you guys know my first initial thoughts, and then we can begin this wear test, because I'm very curious to see how this is gonna do on my oily skin. Because you guys know, when you have oily skin and you work with a glowy foundation, that can be a little iffy. Hey guys, so I am back. I just finished my entire face of makeup. So I haven't set my makeup whatsoever. I just wanted you guys to see how it will look if you guys just leave it like this and you have kind of more so of like oily skin type. So it definitely gives you a glow. And typically this is what we would look like a few hours into the foundation for somebody that does have oily skin. So I do want to go ahead and set the face with some finishing powder. Right now, I've been loving the Milani Conceal Plus Perfect Blur Out Powder. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just going to set one side of the face and the other side we're just gonna leave as is so I can see how this does. So I'm gonna open this up and I'm just gonna take a little bit of this powder. I've been loving this powder. It's really, really lightweight and very fine. You guys can see in it. Does a good job of blurring too. Typically for me, somebody who does have oily skin, I like to go in and set my makeup with a powder just because it works better. So we're just gonna set one face and you guys can see the difference it makes when you set the face. It definitely also helps minimize my texture, which I think is one thing when you do wear a radiant foundation, just to keep your mind, just to keep like a lookout for that if you do have a lot of texture like I do, I feel like something that's more hydrating radiant will definitely enhance the texture more because it's bringing attention to that. So that's just something to keep in mind. This side looks a little bit more perfected because we did set it with the powder. But I will say the good thing about these type of foundations that give you more so of like a radiant finish and are lightweight is that powders, if you do apply powders, lay really nicely on top typically for the most part, because of the fact that what you have on like that first base, which is the foundation, is very lightweight. This is with just the Tarte Maracuja Juicy Glow Foundation, and then with the foundation but with powder to just kind of set the whole face. So I like this side better honestly, because like I said, I do have oily skin and I have texture and I feel like it already minimized it. But this side I can see how people that do have more so that dry skin would prefer. So right now it is 10:10 a.m. We are going to get this day started. I will show you guys how this foundation looks in natural light, and then I'll come back at the end of the day and give you guys my final thoughts and whether I would recommend this or not, my personal thoughts on it, and who this would work best for. Keep watching because you won't want to miss this review, and I want to let you guys know if this is worth $40 or not. So I'll see you guys soon. I wanted to show you guys the foundation in natural light. So this is the side where we set it with the Milani powder that I've been loving. And then this is the side where we didn't set it. We just left it as is. You guys can see my texture. This side looks a little bit more perfected. Like I said, like with texture, you will notice imperfections more on a radiant foundation. But it doesn't look too bad. I mean, it does have a skin-like finish, but I just feel like that's just something to note. You can clearly see the difference between having the powder on and not having the powder on. I personally prefer my foundations with powder. I will say though, this foundation works really well with powder because the powder's laying really nicely on top of the foundation. It doesn't look cakey. It looks nice. What do you guys think? Which side looks better? With the powder, without the powder? So with that being said, I'm gonna carry on with the rest of my day and I'll see you guys later for my final thoughts. Keep watching. Okay guys, so I am back. It is 7:39 p.m. and this is what the new Tarte Maracuja Juicy Glow Foundation looks like. So this is the side where we went in with the powder. This is the side where we went in with just the foundation. It looks very, very dewy on this side, especially like my T-zone area where I tend to get dewy. It is getting dewy. So I would say this is good for somebody that does have dry to normal skin or somebody that likes a glowy finish. And also I would say this is for somebody that doesn't have a lot of texture. So just keep that in mind because I do feel like it enhanced my texture a little bit more. So yeah, and I feel like in some areas you can kind of see the product like rubbing off, especially because I do have oily skin. It's a little bit more obvious in the areas where I do have that oily skin. So just keep that in mind. I don't think this is great for people that have oily skin. I personally don't see myself gravitating towards this. Yes, it gives you like that summer glow, but for me in that super hot humidity here in Maryland for the summer, this is gonna be melting off. So it's gonna be a no for me. Those are pretty much my thoughts on this new Tarte Maracuja Juicy Glow Foundation. Let me know down below what you're thinking. Will you be purchasing this or not? I want to know all the tea. So that's pretty much it. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. It lets me know to continue doing these type of videos for you guys. I think that's it. So I hope you guys have a fabulous day. Don't forget to stay safe, stay blessed, and stay beautiful. I'll be seeing you guys very, very, very soon. Adios, bonitas.